And I want to thank you to the Ministry of Culture and Músicas, a program that helped me to come to here. And I want to start this conference. Yes? Okay, thank you. Here we are. Experimentalism, Musicand Aurality, Bogotá as a place of listening. As Icaro has said, I am a musicologist. I am very interested in music, but I'm not going to speak about music only. I'm going to speak about aurality and how this video we have seen, it's a great example of what Bogota is. Yes? It's like a melting pot where you put a lot of things. Sounds, but not only musical sounds, but all kind of sounds. Sounds from the urban noise, sounds from the people, sounds from the... Even there is a scene in the video, I like it very much. It's the chit-chat that the musicians are having there in one of their houses. They are like talking about, would you like a coffee? And what are we going to play? What are we going to do? That chit-chat, it's kind of reflecting an essence about Bogotan people, yes? And I want to start this conference with this quote from a movie. I don't know if you have seen. Here's a spoiler alert about Inception, Christopher Nolan movie. And I want to talk about an idea about music. See? An idea is like a virus, say Dominic Cobb, the protagonist of the movie, resilient, highly contagious, and even the smallest seed of an idea can grow. Once an idea has taken hold of the brain, it's almost impossible to eradicate. An idea that's fully formed, fully understood, that sticks right in there somewhere. It can grow, and I want to underline this, to define or destroy you. There is an idea that has infected us, as like extending the idea, the quote. An idea about music, about what we call music, about everything that we have done with this idea. And music is related with an episteme, as Foucault may have said, about what we talk about music, what we think music is, but it's related with another thing that is an acoustic thing, that it's sound, yes? And this connection, I want to relate it to a territory, to a place, to a space, and a region even, that is Bogota. Bogota is, like Icaro had said, a very crazy and a very chaotic place, yes? But the real thing is that I'm going to talk about listening, and how listening is disciplined by some conceptions we know about sound and about music. And music has a lot of ideologies that surround it. One I want to denote is the one about absolute music. Absolute music as an idea that has created an idea, obviously, about what music is. See? Academic music. One thing that in the video we have seen is that there is an idea of jazz, for example, and how music should sound. Yes, and Pedro Ojeda said very well that we don't assume what it's our music culture in Colombia. We'd have to look outside to like resemble what in United States of America's jazz is doing, or what European music as academic music, it's what you are doing here, yes? If you like to study music in Colombia, perhaps it's not quite different from what you can expect in German, yes, in Germany. And is that you have to study the fundamentals of tonality, and you have to learn about the great composers, you know, Bach, Beethoven, Mozart, about what music is. You want to study music? Okay. Play the well-tempered clavier first, play the Beethoven sonatas first, or play the Charlie Parker, Miles Davis standards first, and then, as you are recognized as a musician, you can then play music and do music, yes? So, this kind of ideology leaves a lot of liminal aspects of sound outside, what I call, or what we can call noise, dissonance, and that are regulated by music theory, yes? And in another way, we have a lot of perspectives, methodological perspectives that which we can use to get related with the sense of a space, territory, place, region, like ethnography or cartography, yes? To get some information about what sound, listening, and sense of place will be. And the video had already explained us something about this phenomena that is the Distritofónica, districts sound. Here's a detail of the promotional poster of Festival Distritofónico of 2017, because here's one of these liminal sounds that are in Bogota and that are liminal related to what in the universities and in the music programs in Bogota are already done, yes? La Distritofónica is not in the public or cultural policies in Bogota because it's liminal, yes? They don't do music. They do jazz, okay, but not academic jazz. They do like a noisy and kind of experimental jazz that is conceived as something that it doesn't fit in the cultural policies of Colombia or even Bogota. Here is one of the purpose objectives of La Distritofónica. Is a platform to support an independent music of young Bogota musicians. And I want to highlight something very important, that is the traditional language of the coast interior and the urban music, yes? And here I include, or they include, jazz, rock, electronic, and classical music. It's a melting pot, yes? I want to highlight something also that is very important, is that this coast, interior, and urban music are seen in coherence with the multicultural political insights of political constitution of Colombia as some isolated music that is from the central and from the coast in Colombia, yes? The La Distritofónica is inspired in an indigenous culture too. Here we have Tunjo, which is an sacred and emblematic object by the Muisca indigenous community. This one is at the Met Museum in New York. It's not in Bogota, it's in the Met Museum, yes? But if you go to Bogota and go to the Gold Museum in downtown in Bogota, you can find too a lot of these examples of archaeology. Well, La Distritofónica has a lot of examples of this musical production. here is one of the first productions that they have done in early 20th century. 2005 is this disc from Ricardo Gallo Quartet, The Witness Hills, it calls, Los Cerros Testigos. And there is a lot of music, a lot. Which is related to Bogota. Here we have some of the paratexts that are related to Bogota explicitly. Yes? The group, the albums, and some of the tracks, which I invite you to find and to listen to get an experience of what this music is, but also to how we can understand this music as a metaphor of Bogota's sound. Now, sorry. There you go. First of all, I want to highlight what do I call experimental music. And I want to quote one of the most popular definitions of the concept. This is from Cecilia Sun, and in the group Music Online, she tells us that we can call experimental music as a diverse set of musical practices characterized by its radical opposition to a questioning of institutionalized modes of composition, performance, and aesthetics. I quote this to make a critique because those modes of institutionalized modes of composition, performance, and aesthetics can be used to listening. How listening is institutionalized through education, through performance, through concepts about music, yes? And I open a question about how music, but we should talk about sound really, sound listening, and even we can talk about hearing. I extend the question, yes, I extend it. Has been institutionalized, yes? That's the question, the one I have asked, or I asked to Cecilia, yes? How sound listening has been institutionalized, yes? Because this is a problem that maybe we can even extend, yes? And here is another definition now of Benjamin Picut. Experimentalism is a tautology, yes? Experimentalism is the thing that all these experimental composers do. Now I extend this, and humans. Listening is we can even extend it more. See? Yes, we can talk about humans, but we can talk about every living or expecting like yes, every living not only human beings, yeah, but animals or plants do even when they listened, yes. This opens new questions about posthumanism and ecological listening. Well, those are questions that I'm working on. Yes, I'm working on. Here is Bogota again, with its two most famous hills, Monserrate on the left side and Guadalupe. Okay. Well, now I open another question about institutions. Institutions are quite a problem in Colombia because they have to do some policies. They have to deal with what kind of projects we support and what kind of musical projects, artistic projects they support. So we have in Bogota two principles that are the Ministry of Cultures, Arts and Knowledge, yes. That name changed in the last 2 years because before that it just called Ministry of Culture, just one. Now it has opened to Cultures, Arts and Knowledge. And the District Institute of Arts of Bogota, because they have a lot of scholarships and grants that support a lot of projects about not only music but arts in general, yes? But the problem here is what kind of projects they support, yes? Because if we are going to talk about music, what kind of music you do so we can support it. We can give you the money for your project, but let us know what kind of music or what kind of artistic projects are you going to do, yes? And there are another kind of institutions that are not the least, but very important, that are superior education institutions, universities, yes, which has their music programs, artistic programs, as National University, Pontifical Javeriana University, Andes University, and the Superior Academy of Arts in Bogota, which I can extend this more, yes? We can go to another cities in the country. I don't know, Antioquia University, for example, or I don't know, in Cali, Valle University, and we have to start thinking about what those institutions are doing related to what kind of musical and cultural projects they support, yes? And I bring this definition of institution because, yes, we know that institutions are those buildings, those persons that are leading those institutions, but I think about institution as the standard of conduct and costume, as Natalia Violeto and Mexican research has informed us, because the institution is a norm that is a standard for conduct and custom, yes? And because they define structures our own behaviors. And as a musician, I have to be dealing with these kind of behaviors, these kind of habits that institutions are making in cultural policies, yes? Now, I want to understand how institution is an important part of a definition about what we talk about music and how we conceive music in Colombia, yes? There is a lot of problems about ontology and epistemology, but also this concept that Stephen Feld has said, acoustemology, yes? And the problem is, first of all, that there is a definition around what we talk about hearing, and about what we talk about listening, what we talk about listening. Hearing, it's told, as Jonathan Stern has said, by modern psychology, acoustics, medicine, yes, and quantifiable and separable from subjective experience, yes. Many branches of psychoacoustics, the study of auditory perception. Hearing is a common thing that all humans have, yes? And this led me to a definition about aural in the 19th century that is, I'm sorry, I forgot to translate that, which is perceived by the ear. Everything that's oral is because it can be perceived by the ear, yes? This lead us to some definitions about how science has defined the sound around the acoustic science. And there is important over about Hermann Helmholtz, Die Lehre von, you can read it, about the condition of musical concept of dissonance and consonance to define music. Yes, the work of Helmholtz was very important to another music theorists as Heinrich Schenker and Hugo Riemann to define why music from a scientific point of view was music. We have to deal with this kind of scientific definition about sound to give it a support about what music in an epistemological way could be, yes? This led to another personalia in music theory world like Edward Hanslick, or even musicians like Wagner and Franz Liszt will take this definition about what music is to define their own perspectives about music, yes? But listening is another thing. Listening is an attentive hearing that involves deliberately challenging your attention to a sound, yes? And the term aurality opens to a new direction, yes? The aural is this epistemological framework that conditions my engagement with the audible world. And this is very important because here is the line. How institutions lead us to a norm that, or a rule, some kind of rules that conditions our engagement to the audible world. When we are outside, we hear a lot of sounds. Some of them can be understood as music, but some of them not. And that kind of reduction leads us to think about how these ideas about music are created, or how these ideas about noise are created, yes? And institutionalized around an aural regime that is the central idea of what I wanna talk about, yes? Because the history of music, the history of how we understand music, it has an historical and cultural transcendence that, as you can read, predispose what and how we perceive and signify, how we shape our listening practices to prescribe and prescribe, classify, approve and disapprove what is done while listening. And here is another topic that the video has touched, that is why the music of La Distritofónica doesn't fit with all the cultural policies and the musical policies in the Bogota political perspectives, yes? This is a very important issue because in the 2012, Bogota has been designated by the UNESCO as a creative music city. It was like an important label for the city. And according to that label that UNESCO gave to the city, appeared a lot of musical venues. One very important is, for example, the International Classical Music Festival. And that festival has some kind of subtitles which related Bogota with great composers. For example, the 2009 International Festival Music of Bogota was called Bogota is Mozart. Bogota is Beethoven. Bogota is romantic music. Bogota. And when I asked to the Distritofónica, the Distritofónica's members, I asked them, what do you think about this? Bogota is Mozart. And the first answer was, why? Why Bogota is Mozart? Bogota can be anything but Mozart. Yes? If you get on your feet in the Jimenez Avenue with 10th Street in Bogota, you are going to hear everything but Mozart there. You are not going to hear Mozart, definitely. Yes? What you're going to hear is what we call noise, not music, or not this kind of music that we are supposed to hear around what we have learned in university. Yes? Not Mozart. Yes? But why this is important? That's the real issue. Why we have to ask about what is Bogota from an aural perspective? Because aural relates us with the other. The other. Who's the other? The other is the one who is selling, I don't know, anything in the street, and that maybe haven't listened to the 40th Symphony of Mozart, you know? Never in his life has heard that. But tell him, Bogota is Mozart. Let's go to the International Classical Festival and listen to Mozart, yes? Perhaps the problem here is that an aural regime should be criticized, yeah? I quote now some of the opinions about La Distritofónica, yes? This is one from Andrés Gualdrón, who is, in that time was a journalist. Now he's a teacher, professor in the Javeriana University. And he told us, La Distritofónica is delirium, tropical noise, country metal, South American folklore, noise, and experimental jazz. Yes? And here's another one. I quote just those two. From Luis Daniel Vega, another journalist. Ricardo Gallo's work is the result of the urban and what it means to be from Bogota, what it means to be Colombian in Bogota, because as in every part in the world, one is to be from Bogota, another is to be from Cali, other things to be from Cartagena, yes? What it means to have grown up here with the things of the city, how rough it is, how violent it is, how unequal it is, and how that is represented in the music. Yes, as a metaphor of the sound of the city. This is chaos. It is also cacophony, and that is in the music. That is, for me, is very interesting. Cacophony in music. Okay, like an oxymoron, yes? People who listen to it say, this is not jazz, this is not the other. They are not understanding that it is a synthesis of all that. Things that are very deep in meaning, that already exist. The music that is made here in Bogota is not influenced, but infected. Dominic Kopp from Inception. An idea is a virus infected by the urbanity. Yes? Not by the ideas of what music should be, not by the ideas of what or how this should sound and must sound. No, infected by urbanity, by that chaotic and anarchic existence. Anarchic, yes? A political issue there. Evelis Alvarez, in the beginning of the video, talks about Bogota music and treat it like a bourgeois music for the bourgeois. Who are these people? People from the higher classes who look to the lower classes, yes, and thought, okay, you don't do music. Vallenato, cumbia, that's not music. Music is Mozart, Beethoven, and Bach. Yeah? That's music. What you do there, that's not music. I'm sorry. Yes? That's why I like this quote, because anarchic, like something that it's going to regulate by itself, and it's going to find its space in the city to look at us and to point at us and to get us in contact with the other. A principle, very important is the improvisation, yes? And free improvisation, as in experimental music we can see also, yes? And here I try to understand improvisation from this concept of principle of clarity from philosopher Donald Davidson, who talks about the intersubjective understanding possible as long as the actors share the same belief system. And this belief system is an ideology. I think about this belief system as an ideology, aesthetic one, that circulate around the world they are immersed in. Yes? There is the La Distritofónica could not exist if this intersubjective understanding didn't exist. They have to be related to each other. They know from school, since the school, yes? And they know about music and had created an idea about music and about sound since they were very young, yes? But that understanding of the world can or allow them to get into improvisation. Yes? I want to bring in the discussion another musical project that it's the Colombian Circle of Contemporary Music, which is another venue, another scene that is going to get us in contact with the academic perspective of music in Bogota. In the circle, we have people that has been formed and that had studied in the universities in Bogota, and that which has getting in contact with academic music. Yes, here we have people that knows who Beethoven, Mozart, Bach, and all them were, but that had, as you can read, encouraged and developed and promoted the contemporary academic music in Colombia. Yes, there are some honorary members, and they have some musical groups. There are more. I just quote just one of them, because there are more groups in the circle, and some active members. Because you have to be part of the circle, you have to pay a fee and a subscription to the circle. Those are who have paid their subscription. The ones that are underlined is because they have a personal web page. Melissa Vargas, Luis Fernando, okay. And here's the deal. The problem is how La Distritofónica and the Circle are like doing projects in common. And for example, Maria Angélica Valencia from La Distritofónica works with Rodolfo Acosta and Beatriz Elena Martinez, and is not here, Guillermo Bocanegra, and as a composer, she and a performer too, they all create projects about experimental music. Historical and cultural subjections to music, ideologies. Now I get back to what we think about when we talk about music. Here are two famous quotes and definitions about music ontology, one from Edgar Varese, an important French and American composer, as music as organized sound, that was then quoted by famous English musicologist John Blacking: humanly organized sound, sonorly organized humanity. And I put in bold the organized, because that's something that it calls my attention. Why we talk about order? Since when we talk about order, not only in music but in arts, yes? And Eblis Alvarez said it too in the video. I talk about music more from the beauty, music as beauty, yes? And the way we relate beauty and order to mathematics as a principle, yes? This has a history, which I'm not going to bring it here because it's a history from antique Greek philosophy to Helmholtz, but even to nowadays, to fractal composition, for example. And the laws that governs the classification of tones that leads to formalism, and formalism as a way of thinking about music that Hanslick, even those names from the 19th century, Hanslick, Hoffmann, Guido Adler, has done, yes? And how this goes to what we talk about musical studies and what we do when we study music, yes? La Distritofónica is something very special, very, very special. And even now, it doesn't fit in the music world of Bogota. It doesn't fit quite well, doesn't. So further problems that are my interest, my research interests, are how the concept of folklore is dealing with the concept of noise and music in La Distritofónica. Folklore is a problem because it leads to reductionism and essentialism in music, yes? And in cultural policies, that's a problem, because if I'm going to do music and I'm going to do, I don't know, music from the Caribbean, I have to deal with what we are talking about when we say music from the Caribbean, yes? That's a deal we have to do with folklore, yes? This is one of the Facebook Facebook questions that Melissa Vargas from the Circulo made in 2023 and 2024 this year. The Colombian music also includes the practice of contemporary and experimental music, doesn't it? And there were very some kind of answers that, yes, of course, if you are going to do experimental music, that's Colombian experimental music. But there were others like, wait, are you talking about traditional folk music or are you talking about academic music? There's a difference. And that difference, on that difference depends grants and scholarships that the Ministry of Culture does and the Institute of Arts of Bogotá does. Yes, it depends on that. This question is very important because if experimental music is not Colombian music, then you can get that money from that grant. You are not allowed to take that money from that grant, and you have to do Colombian music, so folk music, to get into that grant and into that scholarship. So that are my questions now. There is a lot more. I just bring to you some of my issues. So I hope it could. I thank you for hearing me, for listening. So that's all for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Diego. Yeah, thank you for bringing us all this nice kind of journey through the whole situation with the contemporary and experimental music in Colombia, in Bogotá. I would like to open the microphone for some questions. If not, we can start also a discussion. But please let me know if you have questions.
Can you hear me? Oh, yes. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much for your presentation. It was very insightful and very impactful. I just wanted to ask, because I'm also a musician who's also been through institutions, and I've been wondering myself recently, also because of a lot of the technological things that are going on in the world and other things. It seems in general, universities and institutions will really need to adapt or evolve very quickly to cater to what's going on in the world. And do you perhaps think that some of the things that you mentioned in your presentation could be some solutions for some of these things that are happening culturally on a greater scale as well?
I'm sorry, I don't hear very well the question. Can you repeat it for me?
So some of the things that you mentioned in your presentation, do you think some of these different themes or tools that you talked about, do you think there could be some solutions for ways that institutions may need to adapt?
Yes. The deal now in Colombia, because the thing is that I'm relating this topic with Colombian institutions. And there is a concept that this is leading to some exit to this problem, is the term intercultural. Intercultural is seen as a way where we can understand sound and music from another episteme. Yes? For example, in Colombia there is a master in the Bosque University, like Woods University will be the translation. is a master in Colombian music, a master in Colombian music. And they are inviting to this master to what we call sabedores. I don't know how to translate that. Like people who knows from the regions to come to the university and teach there in the university how to play the, I don't know, the alegre drum from the Caribe, yes? But it's someone from the little towns and the palenques, that are little towns that Afro people had created after the from colony times and that, and those people come to the university to teach the students of the master in Colombian music how to play the alegre drums there in the university. But those people didn't study music in there, you know. There is it has to be an intercultural communication that treats us as in an horizontal way, where I don't see you from here because I studied music in Javeriana University. I know the same as you. We are equal. Yes? That's kind of a solution that we have, that exists there in Colombia. That's one example. The other example I can quote is another master in the Antioquia University, which is a region in Colombia, and is that the master in Caribbean and Latin American musics. And it's the same, just the same. They invite the sabedores, the teachers from the regions around Colombia, to the university to teach the persons that are interested in Colombian music in an horizontal way, not vertical, yes, horizontal, and they told the students how to play, and the way they inform artistic projects, yes, because the point is how artistic research is get informed by those sabedores, and how they create both, like in yes, I forgot how to translate. Ícaro, can you help me? Investigación, acción participativa. Yes. I forgot how you call it in English or in German even. Yes, because we are equal, so the projects in artistic research are for me, yes, but also for those sabedores who are in the project also. Yes, it's a collaborative kind of communication. Yes?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other question? Another question?
Hi. I'm not 100% sure what is the like this festival, for example, you showed with this Distritofónicos something.
Yes, yes.
What I wanted to ask is it like a general agreement within this experimental music scene in Bogota to want to have also this institutionalized recognition? Because from my experience, a lot of times within this specific, more outsider music scenes, people are also a lot of times afraid of having exactly this institutional recognition. So I was wanting to ask you what are the concerns there, and if there are, because for example, I think from Bogota, I've got to know actually in Bremen a lot of hardcore punk bands, and they are really very anti-system and anti the government. So
Yes.
I really, for them, I'm really sure that they are. I mean, at some point, everyone should. I think if you become like a professional musician, of course, at some point you need to have this kind of financing. But then, so it was more the question, what are the concerns? If it's a general, everyone wants to have it, who doesn't want, yeah.
Okay, okay. There are many things there in what you just said. The first thing I wanna say is that La Distritofónica doesn't, they don't give importance to what those institutions talk about themselves in this way. Yes, we recognize that there is an institutional view about music, but we are doing something else. Call it music, call it noise, call it whatever you want. We don't care. Yes? We are going to do what we do here in some venues, because I didn't mention it. They are very important venues in Bogota where this music circulates. Matic, where we saw it in the video. Yes, it's one important venue. The other thing is how this music relates to the cultural policies of Bogota, because they understand that they don't fit there even. They don't fit. The District Institute of Bogota doesn't care about them in the way it should be, that is promoting and collaborating with this kind of music. And they just say like, okay, we care, yes, but we are going to continue doing what we have done since 2004, yes? And we still play in those venues. For example, the Meridian Brothers, I was asking to Icaro, I thought they played here in Bremen. No, they play in Hamburg and in Berlin, for example, here in Germany. So they have been seen as an important music ensembles outside Colombia, more than even inside Colombia, yes? So the view is that those institutions are going to be looking at Meridian and Distritofónica and the Circle from a distance that I think it will lead them in the future to see them from a historical point of view. You know, I thought that in some years, because history needs to pass, those institutions are going to see, oh yeah, La Distritofónica, what an important phenomena we had here in Bogota, but now we have to recollect those examples and to write about them. Yes, that is what I'm doing now. You know what? One of the things, for example, that the Circle has said to those institutions is, why you don't talk about what kind of music we do today? You ever talk about the past? And what did Colombian music sound in the 80s, in the 70s? Now we're doing music. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody. Yes? A few. I am included. A few of us talks about noise music in Colombia, but no one is talking about it. Yes? Really? Journalists, well, yes. But no, not from a research interest. So I think it's kind of important that we get some importance to this phenomena. Yes.
More questions?
Hey, thank you for the really interesting talk. I think there were a lot of things I could connect to. I wanted to ask you about something you talked about in the beginning. I think you talked about dissonance as kind of that something that counteracts a kind of maybe hegemonic idea of music that you described really nicely in your talk. And I wanted to ask you a little bit more, if you could elaborate a bit on this dissonance. Do you see it only as kind of like music, mathematical, and also in terms of harmonies and things like that? Or how far do you extend that metaphor also in, you talked about Bogota as a melting pot, maybe. So.
Thank you. Yes. Well, I treat dissonance from this definition that absolute music has told us. Dissonance as something that is wrong. You have to avoid them, yes? According to contrapuntal and polyphonic music from Palestrina, 16th century, you have to avoid dissonance. Wrong, yes? And that kind of idea grow over the centuries till now through the tonality. Yeah? Tonality has some rules, and dissonance, even now, according to tonality, has to be avoided. Yes? Dissonance in this kind of way can be seen from a mathematical way since Pythagoras, yes, the consonant intervals, the dissonant intervals, but it can be also seen since the 19th century from an aesthetic point of view. And here I can quote Rousseau over, or even John Cage, even because I didn't mention a lot of people, yes. One that I think is very important and we haven't get in touch as it should be is John Cage, yes? John Cage music, John Cage thoughts about music and about aesthetics. And dissonance can be seen also from a sociological or anthropological point of view as this that is not me, is the other, and how I see the other from my perspective, my perspective, and how the otherness can be seen as a dissonance or as something that is like, because it's not my experience, it's the other experience, as something wrong, something that it can be something we have to deal with, yes? And dissonance is, and I think that's the important thing about experimental music, dissonance is, in the context of experimental music, is an encounter with otherness, with the other. We encounter the other. Who is the other? Someone that I don't listen, I don't hear, or even yes, no. I don't know. That's like a personal, a very personal question I ask to you tonight. Who is the other? And how we relate to experimental music? Yes? Knowing who we are. Yes? I studied music. I am a guitar player. I play it. I don't play it now. I play it. Bach. Yeah. I play it, Bach in my final recital in Colombia, well, all that. I like Bach's music, but experimental music has show me something important: dissonance, the other that is not me, that the other that sometimes doesn't think like I do, doesn't feels like I do, doesn't listen like I do. So it's I don't know, a romantic point of view I'm telling you tonight, because the dissonance can be seen as beauty also, yes? It's kind of like a contradiction I'm doing here, yes? Dissonance is beauty, beauty is dissonance, okay. But we can extend this to other arts, yes? How we think about dissonance, for example, in visual arts. What should be dissonance in visual arts, in digital arts, in, I don't know, in gastronomy, yes? I don't know. So that's what I think about it.
Good. Is there a last question? Well, yeah.
Try to ask with, it's again about this institutionalization you are talking, and a little bit connected to Gida's question, because I'm still asking me why this, you are talking a lot about this institutionalization, and I understand also the focus, no? But on the other hand, I'm asking me, I didn't got it so really, why is it so important? I have some ideas, but I didn't hear it from you. Why is this institutionalization so important? No? Because on if I think, I visited Bogota and I liked it a lot, and what I have in mind and in my ear still is there was everywhere music in Bogota. I was in the taxi, there was music. I was in the house, there was music. Everywhere there was music. No? And you would call, I would say music, no? In a way. I heard many songs. No? I have always with melodies, with rhythms in my in my ear. No? I learned a lot about cumbia and all this. No? And I heard also punk concerts and so on streets. No? And I was very for me it was great that so many people listened to this music, or were participating, because dancing, all ages. And that was for me very different to what happens in Germany. And it was in a way very uninstitutionalized. Probably I got only something like a very idealistic view of the music scene in Bogota. Because there was, it was, and I think probably connected to the institutionalization, it's the main question is the money, probably.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
It was now a bit talking about my own impressions.
No. I thank you that exactly because, yes, one of the things that it caught my attention here is how silent the city is. You know? Yesterday, late night, I walked through the El Molino. ¿Cómo se? Yes. Yes, Valen. Ah, se me olvidó el nombre.
Mühle.
Ja, danke. See? Quiet. Oh my goodness. If I get through this street in Bogota, oh my goodness. Someone is going to jump out and steal me, you know? Here, no? But I was like, oh my goodness, quiet, very quiet. In Bogota, you have noise. Maybe not at every time of the day, but yes. And in downtown, because this is very near to downtown, yes. My goodness, there is noise. There is music. Now your question: institutionalized music. Yes, you hear a lot of music in Bogota, in the bus, in the street, in your house, when you go to your friend's house, when you go to university. But the thing is this: if I said in Bogota, I study music. Oh, you study music. So, what do you play? I play, I don't know, champeta, which is a rhythm from Cartagena, as Cartagena city in Bogota, in Colombia, I mean. No, I play Bach in the guitar. Oh, you are a musician now. If you play Bach, you are a musician. But champeta, everyone does that. Yes, that's not even music. Is that music? Yes, but now. Yes? When I talk about institutionalized, I mean how these ideas of music has surrounded public and cultural policies, or are inside them, and how grants and scholarships has been like created or are given to people according to this definition of sound. I give you one example. In the last grant of stimulus of the Minister of Culture, there was a grant that was called a Compositional National Award. There was a mandatory in the stimulus. You have to do a composition that can be performed by symphonic orchestra, choral, or estudiantina, that is a traditional a traditional ensemble in Colombia, but that uses European instruments, guitars, clarinets, violins, contrabass, etc. You have to do a composition according to that kind of scores, yes? And I don't know how to say because my Colombian devil is here. Todos saltaron, todos brincaron. Everybody jump.
Yeah, but
Hey, I do experimental music. What do I do with a symphonic orchestra if I have music for computer and tape and accordion? You cannot. You can be here. Yes, you can be here. I am a composer who have write for symphonic orchestra, and here is my composition. Okay, welcome. Yes, those are the institutionalized ideas about music that I'm talking about. But there is another problem, that it's the one that I talk about in the final. Okay, the mandatory was symphonic orchestra, choral, estudiantina, but also your composition has to be related to music of the Amazonia and Orinoquia music that are some regions from Colombia. Yes? Your music is supposed to sound not only for the orchestral format, but only has to deal with definitions about Amazonia and Orinoquia's music. Yes? And there we have folklore folklore ideas about how should or how should be sound be performed or be the music of Amazonian Orinoquia, and there are another type of institutionalized ontologies about that music through the folklore concept, which all have to deal with. Because, another problem, if I do experimental music, I don't do music for orchestra, and I do not do music for from Amazonia and Orinoquia cultures, yes? So that's the question of Melissa, the last question I made in the slides. Experimental music, where is it? Where do I sit? Excuse me, is this Colombia? Yes, where do I sit? You don't have a seat. Are you on the academic, orchestral, Bach, Beethoven, Mozart's point of view? No. Are you in the traditional folklore music kind of music? No. So you don't fit in the institutionalized perspectives that or from where we talk about music in Colombia. So there is a problem there. Thank you.
All right, thank you. You have the last question? Well, well. Okay, okay.
Yeah. Yes, the
Okay,
last.
just or just an observation.
Please.
Because the last answer was very helpful to me, because you made it clear that very many oppositions you named were really specific to Bogota or to Colombia, because in the United States, I mean, very academic music by Milton Babbitt and so on is extremely dissonant, or in Germany we even have a very academic noise scene or something like that, so that's very relative.
Okay, thank you.
It's a comment, or it's, yeah.
Okay.
Good. All right. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Diego.
Thank you, Icaro.
It was very nice to have this opportunity to talk about the music from Bogota. Then we can discuss also more later and tomorrow. And there is some potato, dish from Bogota.
Apo.
That our friend from Colombia, Christian, he prepared very nice dish. So if you are hungry, please serve yourself. Also there is beer. So yeah.